An interesting High Court decision there yesterday about capacity to make a will or incapacity. And the judge made the interesting point in this unusual case, not that unusual I suppose, but a little bit unusual insofar as the lady in question was eccentric and had some oddities. But as the judge found in the case, which involved a woman leaving a €450,000 estate, she had testamentary capacity according to the judge, despite certain oddities. One of the oddities was getting in and out of her house through a window as opposed to a door, and I think it also involved having her brother living in her house but not speaking to him. Eccentricity is not incapacity, said the High Court judge, and the judge admitted this will to probate in an estate which was worth around about €450,000. The lady was 81 when she died in 2015, but she had testamentary capacity in 2010 when she made the will. She was a lady who was single, she was childless, and she was predeceased by 5 siblings, so she was only survived by nieces and nephews, and the beneficiaries in her will, including some of her nieces, included religious charities as well, and neighbours and home help. And the question arose then as to her testamentary capacity. The application arose to have the will proved, as it were, admitted to probate, arose in circumstances of conflicting evidence about the lady's testamentary capacity, and her death certificate had stated that she had end-stage dementia, and there was objections then by some family members. The judge heard that a GP, of whom Maguire was a patient in 2005 until she went into a nursing home in 2012, had said she could not certify testamentary capacity. Maguire said the doctor was diagnosed in March 2012 as having a delusional disorder. A retired solicitor gave on affidavit evidence. She stated that she had dealt with the lady, Miss Maguire, from 2008, and she mentioned to her, Miss Maguire had mentioned to the solicitor a few times that she wanted to make a will, and she attended the solicitor in 2010 to take instructions or to give instructions in relation to her will. She again attended in 2010 when she executed and signed the will in the presence of the solicitor and another gentleman. Miss Lacey, the solicitor or retired solicitor, believed that Maguire was of sound mind, memory and understanding when executing the will. The court heard also evidence that a secretary in the solicitor's office had taken a call from Miss Maguire looking to make 2 changes to the will. These were to include the forename of a priest and to reduce a legacy for one beneficiary by €5,000. And this type of evidence was indicative of Miss Maguire actually having testamentary capacity and knowing what she wanted to do. Having considered that and other evidence, including medical files relating to the deceased lady, the judge said that while the evidence suggested that Maguire had suffered certain delusions, that did not mean she was lacking in capacity. Her affidavit, or the solicitor's affidavit rather, made clear that Maguire knew whom she wished to benefit from her estate, and her phone call to the office to make the changes supported that. Maguire seemed to be religious and left money to religious charities, she noted. A nephew of Maguire who had travelled from the UK said his aunt had demonstrated some odd behaviour, including getting into her home through a window rather than the door. Although she lived with her brother, they often did not speak to each other, he said. He queried why it took so long to get to the probate stage in this case. The judge agreed that there are delays in probate. The case came before the High Court last August and was adjourned for reasons including to put family members on notice. But in her ruling, the High Court judge admitted the will to probate, and she said that while Maguire displayed certain oddities, she believed Maguire knew she was making a will and whom she wanted to benefit. And that is the key test for testamentary capacity. Does the person know what making a will involves, and do they know who they want to benefit? And the judge said that eccentricity is not incapacity, and not talking to a sibling that you live with is not evidence of incapacity. There was medical evidence that Maguire suffered certain delusions, but she could still have testamentary capacity despite those, she said, the judge said. It was, according to the judge, well established that capacity depends on the specific task. In other words, do they know what is involved in making a will, and do they understand and know who they seek to benefit and so forth? If they do, well then they have testamentary capacity, notwithstanding eccentricity and oddities and so on. Hope you find the video useful. If you do, we'd appreciate it if you hit the thumbs up button down below. Thanks a lot.